my attitude and my sanity and definitely my business. I recommend improv to anybody that, well, really anybody.
Yeah.
But I found it's been really helpful in, being able to sit down with clients I've never met. I used to be really nervous. Like, a lunch one-on-one with someone I don't know there's nothing that's more terrifying than that. And I found that through doing improv, you learn, like, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? No one's going to die if this is an awkward lunch. And, I've done enough 60-minute improv shows to know what an awkward silence on stage feels like. So now I'm able to go into those more confidently and even just speak with confidence. And things come up sometimes that I don't know. I consider myself an expert at this point in real estate, but there are still things that come up that I don't know, and I'm able to mask that a little bit more now.
Sure. But give you the time to look it up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I've also found that real estate's an industry where you don't have a whole lot of work-life balance. It's more a work-life blend. And improv has helped me stay sane through that because there isn't anything, not working out, not even sleeping. Before bed, I'm checking email all night. Even sometimes I wake up at night to check my email. Mm-hmm. And improv is the one thing that I'm able to put my phone down and just exist in a totally meditative state.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
No, I feel like it's one of the things, like live performances, if you really let yourself both as the performer and then as the audience, if you really just try to exist in the moment with the people and the whole thing, with your phone down, I think that that's something that we crave because we don't have it. And that's why there's a part of me that really thinks that, and maybe I'm kidding myself, but that there will be a bit of a resurgence to live performance and live theater, even music, like going to see bands and being physically in a room with them, like, and not in a humongous scenario, which is different, but in a like, whoa, I can see them. They're close to me, like Stubbs, where it's like, even the furthest you can be from them, you're still pretty close. And it's like, there's something about being in a room with a bunch of other people that are experiencing the same thing that you are. With music, you can sing along, so there's that. But with live theater, you all get to go through this emotional, visceral thing, whether it be, in our case, providing them with laughter or a mutual awkward experience, or in other theater where it's like they get to experience sadness, and we have movies and we have TV for a lot of that, to go through. And I feel like the binge world of it has gotten us a little bit more in the journey of a show. Like, I'll binge 2 or 3 seasons of a serious television show because now I get to really feel the journey of the writing and like, oh wow, I didn't realize that in the end of the 3rd season you learned at the beginning. Same with a theater. You're in the room, you're with them at the beginning of their journey, you're with them through the end of their journey, and you can really like feel it and be part of it with these other people. Then you can leave and go, hey, what did you guys think? You were also here in this moment.
Right.
I feel like the internet and a lot of the technological stuff that we have has separated us, and so we're all searching for how to connect with each other, and hopefully we'll find that in live performance.
And with TV, there's less of a commitment to it too, because you can always just rewind it now. And I've found that being in an improv show, I love it because, number one, it's never going to happen again. And it's pretty rare that they're recorded, so you really won't have a chance to see it again, and you can't rewind it, so you really have to be paying attention. And there really, other than work, isn't anything that gets my hyper attention like that. They're really, even my poor husband, I don't even focus on anything he says like I do on an improv show, which I should work on. That's another conversation we've had to have. Is,
sure.
I got to cut back on improv and make a little time for my sweet little hubby. But even that shit's hard, because then you get home and there's the TV.
Yeah, it can be difficult, especially in a relationship where, like, mostly the time that you see each other is when you're sort of relaxing from stuff.
Yeah.
My husband has been traveling a lot for work, so the only time he's home, he doesn't really want to have the tough conversations, like things like, hey, we need to fix the dishwasher, or we need to buy a blank because this broke or whatever. Right. I don't know. Believe me, I'm usually the one like, the water, fix it.
Hey, that's been coming out for a while.
You've been gone for a week and a half and now the water doesn't work. Why?
I'm a notorious toilet paper forgetter. I mean, I probably once a week have to ask my husband if I can have his toilet paper. It's bad. But actually my husband is, I don't know about yours, but mine comes to most of my improv, so I'm so grateful for
Wow.
For us, that's like the most substantive conversation we have most nights is like talking about my show, which sounds so self-indulging.
I don't know. I mean, part of me feels like it's a little, if you were like trying to be, Amy Schumer, then sure, it might be a little self-indulgent if the only conversation you're having with your husband is about this thing. But it's almost like you went to therapy and then you went home and talked about your therapy. I feel like that's okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not dealing with it in a way that is like ego and, you're like working through, how do I communicate with a human being? And
he's my best source of feedback. That's actually the most beautiful thing is he will say honestly.
Oh, that's great.
When I've talked too much or, if something I said, like why he felt like it didn't resonate with the audience, which I really enjoy. I also I rewatch my shows whenever possible. I try to film them. Hideout has Twitch up so you can kind of live stream it. And I will watch those over and over and over and then kind of come up with questions and then ask Ian about them and get his feedback. And
that's great that he comes and sees all your shows.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, my husband hasn't been to see a show that I've done in years.
You've been doing it for so long, though. How long
I have been doing it for a long time. I mean, I've been in Austin doing improv for 9 years.
Uh-huh.
And then I've been doing the Neighborhood for 8 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. I, took a class in sketch and then was like, oh, I want a sketch show now. Though I always wanted to do SNL, so it makes total sense that a sort of SNL-esque thing would be what happens.
Y'all did that show recently over at the Hideout the other week. How did that go? I've always found it interesting when sometimes a show that hits at one theater, when you do it in front of a different crowd, sometimes there's a different response. So I was curious.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a certain amount of oh, this is a different kind of audience. So, we have a second month there in March. And so because of that, we are writing in a slightly different way for the new show now that we've felt the Hideout audience. But it really... sketch comedy is sketch comedy, and I try to make sure that whatever we write could work in any space. Because, the hexagonal stage there at La Vaca is so difficult to manage if you're not used to it. So when we get super used to it and then we went to the Hideout, which was very proscenium, it's like, okay guys, we got to make sure that we're all turning this way. We got to no facing us. You have to have that awkward, I'm facing the audience and talking to the person next to me. It's just totally fine. Just do that. So little things like that, or where do we put our props in this one on the sides? Just little things of how to manage that kind of stuff are fun to figure out, especially with a new group. The group that I have right now has only been, there's a bunch of people that are new, so everyone's kind of learning each other right now. So the change is fun for them because I can say, okay guys, something crazy's happening. This is what's going on. We're moving to this place. And they were cool with it, and I was happy to make the connection with, the Hideout and the people over there. I think that they're wonderful, and I was so thankful that they opened the doors to me.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we sold out over there, and I felt really good about it.
Yeah.
Because not only did I want to be able to do the show that I loved, but I also wanted to thank the people that housed me by giving them money. And so, I was able to sell out the show for them, and it was good, great. Yeah. And in fact, the house manager that night was like, I can't believe we have so many shows. And I just thought, I can't believe you don't have this many shows because it was packed.
Yeah.
There was a line to go in the downstairs space and the upstairs space both, like, and it was wild.
The Hideout is amazing at, I mean, the programming they do, the marketing they do, the community commitment. I see the same faces constantly at that theater because we all want to support each other and want to see each other's things, and they just put up such great shows that, like, Orphans only runs for a couple months, so you have to go see it in that finite amount of time.
Yeah.
Which I find a lot of value to having, you know, you've got your flagship shows, you've got your one-off experimental shows, but I really love seeing those kind of seasonal shows, the rotating ones that maybe stick around for, you know, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea of those, especially too because it's like, let's explore a topic and then you know, don't do it enough that we're tired of it, but do it enough that we get to work on the idea and feel good about it. Yeah, no, it's super awesome. I in fact, since some weight has been lifted off my shoulders, I think my next move, I think, is to take classes over at the Hideout, because I've always felt like held back from that, and I'm glad I don't anymore. So my hope is to join them, because that's been the crowd that's not only been the most welcoming to me, but also, like, I'm really interested to get in on the narrative improv stuff and to learn styles that I don't totally understand. Plus, it sounds like there's some quality structures.
Yeah. Oh my God. And as a left brainer, I can tell you, it totally fills that need. But I've taken classes at every theater here except for Institution. I've just done some shows down there, and every theater is so different. And I found that you know, Hideout, for me, Hideout was instrumental to me going from just being an okay improviser to being a confident improviser, because they taught a different technique that I never got at the New Movement, and by putting those two together, I felt like I could kind of deal with whatever was thrown at me. And then I took classes at Cold Town, and Cold Town was, I really enjoyed their education. They really hit hard on, like, the game and the Herald, and so I have to go over to the Institution.
Yeah, check them out. I think they're they've got a different kind of style too. A lot of games and stuff like that.
I believe they do the Annoyance, which is a really interesting. Kind of like come up with your shit and stick to it. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I only know a little bit about each one, and I just sort of pick and choose and pull my own theories from it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, sure. Yeah.
But I don't know that I know the format that they use too often in their shows. I've seen a lot of sketch shows there, or like some stand-up variety stuff. I've been part of a few variety shows over there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think they've hosted some Five Families shows where all 5 theaters were represented in the shows. So it's a fun spot for them. I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me about improv. It's been nice to talk to you, and I appreciate hearing your point of view from somebody who's taken classes at a lot of different places. I think it's important to acknowledge that, you know, there's a breadth of information in the improv world in Austin, and that, you know, I personally believe that you get better with each new thing that you learn. Like, keep learning, take more classes, go to as many as you can, because the more that you learn, the better you can be. And for me, I want to be a better teacher, so I want to learn as much as I can.
Right.
So, yeah.
When Austin, the Austin community is so beautiful to me, because unlike a lot of cities, you know, like wherever, Cincinnati, wherever you might be, Austin has such a diverse selection of programming that you can go through all the programs and be a top-tier improviser if you just stick to it, versus some other places you have to go to New York to get a game-style improv, you know, education, or you have to go to LA to find a narrative, things like that. Yeah, most smaller cities generally have, like, 2 theaters, and they're either doing the same thing, the same sort of UCB Chicago style, or they're, you know, wildly different in a way that's like, this one's a rejection of everything. And then, you know, I find that I've been trying to talk to people all around the country to see what kind of improv there is out there. And so far, the only city that I've interviewed multiple people in to kind of try to get a larger view of it is Pittsburgh. Oh, interesting. So I've interviewed 3 people, and I have a few more on the docket.
just to learn about different styles. And some of them teach at both of the improv schools, and some of them are. I have the founder of one of the improv schools to talk to, just because it's like every city has their own. In the same way I was talking earlier about how I was trying to research the history of Austin Improv, and I spoke to a bunch of people at the Hideout, because the Hideout was the first one, and to like get down to which people